going back to the point about the stock, buying a stock at for like maybe 10, 20 years or so on. To me, that's much riskier than buying a stock for maybe like a year and holding it for a year. Because to me, there's so much ambiguity. Like the future is so unknown. The company could go bankrupt, and you just don't. You
Exactly. Yeah, the company could very
Think
well not
about
exist in
think about
20 years.
something like Blockbuster. Remember when Blockbuster was a thing abroad and people were
yes.
like, "Oh, no one's gonna Netflix." They used to laugh at Netflix. I
Mm-hmm.
remember there's these quotes that people
Yeah,
go back and
man.
find it. They're like, "You would never buy a movie or even credit cards, things like that." Imagine you investing in things where this technology has replaced. Um,
Yeah.
there was an article I read recently. I don't remember who wrote it, but they were talking about how um, the AI industry can really harm the BPO industry, because if you can train AIs to basically do a lot of those things that the BPO and stuff do, imagine being able to do it for like a fraction of the cost. And look at us, Jamaica, we're kind of relying pretty heavily on things like the BPO industry and
Yeah, we're
stuff
we
too.
are pretty bullish on
We're
BPOs.
constantly developing more and more BPOs and stuff like that. So imagine
Yeah,
you
yeah.
investing in a BPO company, and that's the only company, but you're not. That's the importance of checking with the investments and how you always have to evaluate it over time, because
Yeah.
on one outlook, when you were doing the 15-year goal, this stock you thought it could reach it, but then
Mm-hmm.
wait, AI is coming up. Maybe I don't want to put the money in this because I'm thinking that could be an issue with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What they will to do as well is that they put it in managed funds. So while they aren't the ones looking at it every month or every year, they have a professional investor who is assessing, whose job is to assess their portfolio
Hmm.
periodically, and then to recommend or to actually act on their behalf in moving from a blockbuster, for example, to a Netflix so that they can maintain value.
Yeah, I'm just imagining
So
if there was an investor, someone who was like heavily invested in Blockbuster, but then when if they saw Netflix and these things coming up, if they actually like sold their Blockbuster shares and then used that money to buy Netflix, and then I'm sure there's
it's
probably
it's
someone
it's
out there that
possible.
uh,
It's possible, and I think it's a good point with the companies, particularly when we look at BPOs. I personally think that automation and by extension probably AI has already started to take some of those jobs on the very low end side.
Mm-hmm.
Certain basic functionalities that you want to do with your telecoms provider now over the phone is done by you dialing in whatever you need. They can tell you how much credit you have. They can tell you what you owe, how to pay it. You can put in your credit card information for something and pay it through the phone and through that system. So I mean
Precisely,
the
and that's
AI,
before AI. So AI,
yeah, yeah, and that's bit,
imagine,
yeah.
imagine now the
Look,
exponential effect of AI on stuff on systems like that.
look.
So
Chat
even
GPT is
doctors,
limited.
yeah,
Oh
Chat
well,
GPT. No, no, no. All right. So I was talking to my friend, right? She's abroad now. She's doing she's a doctor as well. Brilliant, brilliant girl. She is using AI and doing machine learning and so on with she's doing some research with maybe some scans. And I see the same research being done abroad a lot, where you'll teach uh, a system to, or you'll do some coding and machine learning, and the you teach the system or the program how to read an X-ray. Let's do something like that. Read an X-ray, right? The
mhm.
program gets so good, it's much better than a human reading it, just reading an X-ray. So therefore, if somebody like a radiographer, let's say, that was reading these X-rays and typing them up and so on, right? Now you have the AI doing that. The AI could literally read the
imagine
X-ray.
that for Apex or
Imagine
Elite.
that for
Imagine
Apex,
not having
exactly.
to pay a consultant, and the AI could imagine the AI's eyes won't get tired. It could go
Hmm.
24/7. It can likely read it fast now we could. and an
Hmm.
AI
And
just
with a higher degree of accuracy. So some of the research actually compared the AI to um, consultant radiologists, and
mm,
they shattered them. Right, they blurred the
So
images, everything. Like the AI was. I think the AI's percentage was maybe about 94% or so on, whereas the
mm.
consultants were high 70s. So yeah, it's already game
I
changing.
mean, is I don't want you guys to try to put the radiologist out of work.
Not the aim, not
But
the aim at all. And it's not us. It's already going on.
It's
yeah,
not
yeah.
just
So these
radiology.
are,
It's every
yeah,
industry,
yeah, yeah. A lot
My
of these
industry.
things are inevitable.
mm,
Are inevitable.
with my
Hmm.
field, there was this machine we got pitched recently. I don't remember the name of the machine. Basically, um, so sometimes we'll use the microscope where we look at the people's like your blood cells and stuff, and you can say, "Oh, this condition could happen" or whatever. Um, there's like a machine that can use less blood than you typically need, and then I think within like 10 to 15 minutes, it can give you an analysis of the blood, so it could tell you how high the blood count is, how low it is, and then it will look under the microscope and can pick up abnormal cells and stuff, so that you don't necessarily have to go through manually. It can do that analysis and do a lot of that things, and it's like really compact, and it's using AI technology.
Yeah,
Mm.
Matthew. It sounds like you need to go into Archer soon, as put back those bones together. But yeah, yeah, yeah. Certainly. I mean, a lot of jobs that we have, and my friend will talk about the fourth industrial revolution. A lot
Mhm.
of jobs that we have now, when our kids are our age, those jobs are likely not going to exist.
And it'll constantly keep happening. I mean, look at like when factories, factory workers, that used to be a big part of the economy, but now that we have like a lot more machines and stuff, there are a lot of people that were basically kind of made redundant. When Excel came up, spreadsheets, look how that cut out a lot of stuff right there.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I think the next few years in terms of technology and the developments that we're going to see are going to be really, really, really crazy.
Mhm.
Um, you guys watch like Terminator and those stuff?
Yeah, 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 no.
Yeah, Skynet. um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's really like even I don't know if you guys even follow stuff like there was, I think it was last year, a lot of the larger tech companies, they were basically called into court. So like, the Apple, the Google, the Meta, there was these, I think it was in the UK or the US, and it was antitrust laws, and basically saying that like how it's almost like the companies they're saying are getting too powerful, because um imagine Apple has the, what do you call it, the iOS store, and they can someone could have an app, develop it, put it on the app store, and then Apple could just say, "Oh, we no longer want your app on the app store," and then they could just almost like develop their own app and things like that, and stuff like that has happened a lot too. I remembered um, there was a time where you didn't have flashlights on your phone, like it wasn't a built-in toggle,
Yeah,
so
man.
there was a
Tejan
flashlight app.
won't remember those days, but I remember.
I
There
remember
was,
those days for
yeah,
sure.
I
And you had to
remember.
download
Yes,
a
you had to
specific
download a flashlight app,
flashlight app.
and
Yeah.
then they can just incorporate that into the iPhone now. That killed all flashlight apps.
Hmm.
Can you imagine that? Imagine your investment being, "Oh, I'm gonna put all this money in this flashlight company because everyone's gonna always need flashlights on your phone. Come on!" And then
Mhm,
one day
mhm.
you just hear, "Yo, Apple's has their own flashlight." All those
Hmm.
flashlight apps just are destroyed.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's gonna be a very,
A similar thing happened even with
very
Twitter,
interesting.
and Twitter just changed a lot based on, I think, a lot of third-party apps were disabled because of Twitter doing some changes.
Oh
So
yes, they used to allow alternative apps that you could access your Twitter, and it could display things differently or
mhm.
have different features to the official Twitter app.
Mhm.
And then I'm trying to remember, there was one I actually had used one too.
like TweetDeck and those
No,
apps. There was a
no,
lot of apps.
I think TweetDeck is from Twitter. You know, there was this
Mm,
other app. What's his name? Marquez. You guys watch MKBHD?
yeah, it was
Yeah,
Uh,
man.
definitely
he
Marcus.
used to talk about it, and I remember he spoke about it, and then I tried it, and it was actually pretty cool. Oh, Flamingo, I think was one of them.
Oh,
Oh yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I heard
He,
Marcus spoke about that recently.
oh,
Mhm.
Yes. Yeah.
okay,
He was talking about Twitter doing that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Big
so
up
my point was that
MKBHD.
your investments can, yeah, big up MKBHD. But I was just saying that investments, you it could just burn up if you're not keeping track of it. So I agree with you, Simon. Always keep track of your portfolio. Always just be aware or be au fait of the companies that you are invested in. So yeah.
And the thing is, you don't have to do it necessarily every day. It doesn't have to necessarily even
Mhm.
be every week. But think about it. Even something that one day a month you say, I say you pick broilers. You're like, oh, people are never gonna stop eating chicken. I think they're the largest. It's between them and what CB and stuff. But they between them, they're
Mhm.
pretty large in the space. Um, if I pick that as my 10-year, 20-year stock that I'm just gonna keep dollar cost averaging, imagine just once a month you go on Google and you just type in Jamaica broilers gleaner observer, and you just read some of the more recent articles, or whenever the report comes you just read that report, be like, okay, how did they do it? Or even the annual report, even if it's not the quarterly reports, you just pick one time of the when the report comes out, you know it's gonna be only one report for the year. You just read that one report and say, is this company still profitable? Are they, the reason I bought them was because I expect them, say before broilers went into the US, you were saying, oh, I know that one day they're likely going to go into the US, and I think that could be a huge boost for them. And then you find out that that ends up happening. That's something that's very important. And that's something that you can track. Like, okay,
Mhm.
it for them to reach my goal, they have to expand into another country. So just even looking out for that, checking
Mhm.
once a year, have they gone into the US yet? Okay, they're going into the US. That's my next checkpoint. Then I have another checkpoint, and you know, it really doesn't have to be checking it every day. Like that's the actual difference. That's the funny part too. You could do that, and that one thing could be what can cement your belief to say, yo, I think this is gonna reach my goal. And you
Mhm.
don't necessarily have to spend hours to get that. One little thing could make a big difference like that to you, to say, okay, this is the most important thing with my investment. And yeah,
True. Do they
Yeah.
still send annual reports and stuff like that in the mail? I haven't gotten
I
any in a long
still,
time.
yeah, I think the last one I got, I feel like they should actually,
Cut that
it
out.
should, or it should be that you opt in for it, because I, I don't need the physical hard copy for most of the stuff. I remember the other
And they
day
still
I got
send
sent.
CDs too. I
Yeah,
don't
CDs.
know
not
if you.
even that too,
I-
but I
Mm.
get sent more than one sometimes because I might have. I guess it's maybe I have more than one account, so I think
Mhm.
I've got two annual
Oh.
reports, and then I'm just like, this is a waste of paper. Like I see it on the
Mhm.
PDF. It should be something that you have to opt in for it. That's my view. Can save
Mhm.
paper.
Yeah, I had some issues with changing my address, so I
Mhm.
haven't received any at this address, but I used to receive them all the time.
All the
But
time.
I don't read any of them, just how you guys, because I
Yeah,
already see it online.
I've already checked
Yeah.
this. It's I don't know. I think it's definitely something like the amount of paper you could save. Uh,
Mhm.
Okay. Let's switch stuff up a little bit. Simon, I see you tweeting all the time about pitch deck, right? I'd
Mhm.
love to hear what is pitch deck.
So, pitch deck is a competition that SOTR, ideated, and that's being funded by Paul Simpson, who's the head of Cornerstone. The aim is to get burden-free capital to small and micro businesses, in order for them to grow. Currently, the winners pot for the top five is at 100,000 US. Actually, it's 110,000 US, so it's about 16 point something million dollars.
Wow.
So five businesses will have the chance to share that, and it's grant funding. This isn't SOTR or Paul investing. This isn't debt that you're going to pay any interest. This is literally you win the competition. You say you need 3 million. You sign over a check and you get $3 million. All right.
Wow.
However, one of the things that we think is that we thought was very important for micro and small businesses is not just capital, which is important, but support. Now, imagine the brand value, and I use this as an example. One of the businesses is in the tourism sector. They do, travel experience, so they bring their own tourists.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if that person had an advisor like Adam Stewart, who could open up his network to that company,
Mm-hmm.
right? The benefit that we could add to that company is far more by making that connection is
Mm-hmm.
far more does far more than $3 million could do.
Mm-hmm.
So a big part of what we're doing with our pitch deck contestants and the winners of pitch deck is going to be providing business support to them. So if they say that they need support on the legal side, they need marketing strategists, they need somebody to assist them with, exports or etc. We SOTR Paul Simpson will reach into our network and try to find the people that these companies need and kind of attach them to the companies, whether it be in an advisory role. It really depends on what the professional chooses, or even if it's just to give them one free session. We've also connected with Wayne Marshall, who has offered to provide his entire network. And as
Mm.
you know, his social media and through Meet the Michelles is, well,
Yeah,
and
it's pretty
himself
large. Yeah,
and
and
his wife
himself.
is very large.
Yeah, I saw him
So
tweeting
he
about it too,
has,
so I know he's supporting you guys. Wow.
yeah man. So he has opted to give a free is an advert on his social media for those companies. So you can imagine if you have a service-based company and Wayne Marshall with combined millions of followers, right, across his networks, is
Mm-hmm.
promoting your business, even if it's for a few days. That's the type of brand promotion that a lot of micro businesses can't afford at that point in their growth cycle. So the aim for Pitch Deck is really to provide that type of support and grant funding. So over the
Wow.
next few weeks, we'll be doing preliminary rounds. We've chosen our top 30 out of the 70 plus businesses that applied.
Mm-hmm.
The top 30 will be competing through the prelims to narrow that down to 15. And then the top 15 will be going to the finals, where, that will be, well, it's all going to be on Twitter Spaces. So the first prelims is actually on the 6th of March at 7 p.m. We're going to start pushing out our marketing tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So the first prelims, 6th of March on Twitter Spaces at 7 p.m. And then we'll be it will be every Monday after that for 3 Mondays. So
Mm-hmm.
the sixth, that Monday, the next Monday, and Monday after that, and then Stocks on the Rocks will be March 31st, where we'll be having our one of those sessions as well. So I mean, it's
Nice.
it's yeah, yeah, it's really good, and we've gotten a lot of support from business leaders on that. I mean, the PSOJ has reached out and offered 1 year free membership. um,
Wow.
Lauren from
Blue
Blue Dot
Dot.
has offered free research services, market
Ah,
research services for that come for each of the
Wow.
winners.
nice.
And we've spoken to Michael Leachin, who has offered his support. He was actually at the launch
Mm-hmm.
on Twitter Spaces.
Yeah, I
I
remember
It's his
that.
saw that
first time.
actually. That was big.
I figured it was
Yeah,
him
yeah,
from
man.
you guys were teasing it, I thought it was gonna be him.
Yeah. And I mean, there are a lot. There is a lot more people in SOTR's network and Paul's network that will hope to get involved to give these businesses maximum exposure. So, for example, you can imagine where you have the Limitless podcast.
I
where
was saying, yo, we should have gone on pitch deck, Preston. I
yeah,
guess we found out
where you
late, but
could,
yeah.
yeah, man, next season. So this is season one. We're working through a lot of things.
Okay.
So we do expect there to be a season two, and we expect that to be much bigger.
So you're gonna have a
Noted.
video. You're gonna have like a video stream of the actual
Mm.
pitches.
So what we've told the finalists is that the prelims won't have a video stream. They are purely Twitter Spaces, but the
Hmm.
finals we're giving the finalists the choice to either pitch live, meaning they can come in person at Palisadoes and pitch right out there,
Hmm.
um, and we can present their pitch if they want to. Some people would have presented pitches with information, private information about their business.
Mm-hmm.
So we would have to speak to each one of them to find out which one would want to present their pitches, openly.
'Cause it sounded like
Almost.
a lot of like one of my favorite shows, Shark Tank. It
Mm.
sounds a lot like Shark
Ah,
Tank, the Jamaican
so
Shark Tank.
so Yeah, I mean, I've heard people call it the Jamaican Shark Tank before, but what we're laser focused on now, Matty, to be quite honest with you, is just executing season one, to see where the points of improvement are, and ensure that season two is much bigger. We've actually gotten production offers for, and this is the first place I'm saying this, production
Hmm.
offers for season two already. So just looking
Wow.
forward to that.
Yeah, I think that's the potential. I think a Jamaican Shark Tank or a show kind of like this could be something that a lot of people would really want to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, yeah. So for season one, as you realize, it's not heavily marketed. I mean, where Paul is, pretty wealthy, and those are, so some of the guys that are involved are pretty wealthy. So we could
mhm.
have gone out on a all island wide billboard type of marketing, but we wanted it to grow organically, at a pace that we can manage and we can see, some of the, as I said before, the kinks and how we can resolve that. And I mean, we have excellent judges. I'm a judge as well, so I'm biased there. But we have where we have Mark Gale and Christopher Forbes, who, each in their own right have done well to start multiple businesses, and
Mm-hmm.
offer their services to other companies, and of course Paul Simpson as well, who would have created Cornerstone, and brought Burrito, from where Burrito was in 2018 to where it is now, almost at the top of the industry.
Mm. Okay, so what what do you think makes, since you're a judge and so on, what do you think
Mhm.
makes a successful pitch then for pitch deck?
That's a good question. I think it comes down to some of the things that we would have highlighted, which is, properly stating what problem you're solving, your business is solving, whether it's a goods based business or a service based business. Properly communicating what the impact of the funds are, and this one, to me, is important, because there are some businesses where $3 million is a lot of money. So I I I don't know your pocket, Matthew and Thean. Don't know, but $3 million for a podcast can get you all the equipment you need, can get
Yes.
you studio time,
Mm-hmm.
can even get you some nice, or, like a MKBHD production background and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I watch his podcast sometimes, and I'm like, yo,
Yeah, the
it's
He
podcast, the
just,
goes,
studio,
he
everything.
goes
It's
like, have you seen his intros recently? Like his
yeah, man.
intros,
His intros are just getting better and better.
every
yeah.
But
time.
but but MKBHD and Unbox Therapy and those guys,
Mm-hmm.
quite literally have entire production teams
Yeah.
and millions of US dollars worth of equipment to support them.
Mm-hmm.
But the point that I'm making is that a $3 million store with Cinco is
Chump
I don't
change.
even think it's a drop in the
US,
bucket, right?
Yeah.
not even US.
Yeah, exactly. But for $3 million or some businesses, it can materially change the direction of where
Yeah.
the business goes from a grant perspective.
Hmm.
So I think for me, it's also properly articulating, that and articulating the sustainability of the businesses. I've seen some excellent businesses being presented from, Jamaican, Caribbean-based video games, to mobile physiotherapy, to vertical farming, seaweed farming. I mean, there we have a lot to come, and a part of what we're doing is showcasing what Jamaicans are able to offer, in terms of their creativity and their
Hmm.
business prowess as well. You know, so let's see how the rest of it goes.
What would be so
Okay.
nice too is if one of these businesses that you guys give this grant to, they develop themselves and imagine them eventually listing. That'd be such a story.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I don't think it's
Impossible.
something that is impossible at all. I don't think it's something that's impossible at all. As I said, there are quite a few of them that are very, very viable,
Yeah.
very, very viable businesses. What they need is skill, and
Mm.
what they need is support. So a lot of these micro
Connections.
small businesses are being supported by one or two persons, um, and they don't necessarily have a team. So, for example, you will have, let's say, a tourism based business where the two persons that own the business, that did their degree in tourism, they know how to provide services, but they don't really know the finance side. They don't know the legal side.
Or the
They
marketing.
are
Hmm.
marketing. They just know how to give excellent service, right?
Hmm.
Now that's a hobby, that's a job. But how you create a business around that is bringing in different people within that scope that can support the growth of the different areas that you need to holistically.